Good Yontif. Last year, for the first time, I built my own sukkah. Metal poles, a canvas wall, and roll-out bamboo mats for the roof. I was very excited to celebrate Sukkot at home. I got my own lulav and etrog, and we ate in the sukkah every night. One night, I even tried to sleep in it. That's the mitzvah, right? To sleep in the sukkah, looking up at the stars. I viewed it as a challenge, and I made it until about 3 a.m., when I woke up freezing cold and wet from the fog, and I decided I would finish the night indoors, warm in my bed. I had the luxury to choose to go back inside, and I used it. But it made me think about all of those in our community who do not have that bed to go to when it's cold, and indoors to escape to when it's wet. What for me was a challenge was for them a reality. And over the last 18 months, you may have noticed, as I have, that the number of people experiencing homelessness in Santa Barbara seems to have grown dramatically, with many new encampments all over town. It is the tragedy of our society that people are left to sleep outdoors. But beyond that, these encampments are a major safety risk for the community. I've read of individuals walking on the side of the freeway nearly being hit by cars, and at least 2 fires in the last year originated from one of these camps. In truth, the number of unsheltered in Santa Barbara really isn't all that much more than it was 2 years ago. The rise in encampment numbers have been a result of less shelter beds available during the pandemic. But the increased visibility of these makeshift communities in areas where we are not used to seeing them has forced into the open the enormity of the problem we are facing. In turn, that has sparked growing frustration and anger, and a circulation of misinformation about our unsheltered population. I'd like to dispel some myths about the homeless population of our city, based on real data from organizations in Santa Barbara working tirelessly to bring new hope to others. The first myth is that since Santa Barbara is such a beautiful place, people who are experiencing homelessness just come here. In reality, more than 70% of the individuals living unsheltered in our city are from Santa Barbara. They are our community members, people we went to school with, grew up with, played sports with. Don't they deserve the opportunity to continue to live where their home is? We Jews knew what it was like to be homeless for 2,000 years, unable to live freely in Israel, but we were sheltered. These individuals have the opposite experience. They are home without a roof. Another myth is that most people who are homeless just prefer to be homeless. In reality, once an individual is receiving what is known as wraparound care, meaning that someone or some organization is helping them to find a permanent housing solution, food resources, and potentially work, 90% of those individuals do not end up back on the streets. About 30% end up moving in with family. 30% receive assistance to relocate to a place with more affordability and job opportunities. And 30% are placed in permanent supportive housing. If 90% of individuals who go through this system end up staying off the streets, we might ask, why then do our numbers continue to go up if we are so successful in rehoming individuals? It is because despite the fact that people who experience homelessness make up less than 1% of our total population, 22% of families in Santa Barbara live below the poverty line. A full quarter of Santa Barbara County families require at least one form of food assistance to get through the week. It sometimes takes just one accident, one illness, one lost job to push one of these families out onto the street. Judaism demands that we address these issues. We are morally obligated to alleviate the suffering felt in our community. Just a few minutes ago, Annie Kemp quoted from the prophet Isaiah, "Is this the fast that God wants from you, these empty supplications? No, this is the fast that I desire, for you to share your bread with the hungry, invite the wretched poor into your house. When you see the naked, to clothe him, and not to ignore your own kin." The Torah commands that a poor person should be provided sufficient with what they lack, according to that which they are lacking. A Talmudic interpretation understands this to mean a house with a bed, a table, and a door. The majority of rabbinic teachings around providing for the poor, however, are tied to food, not to shelter, which is a textual assumption that no matter how poor a person was in the community, they still had a place to live. The biblical Israelite communities were agricultural models of justice. Every year, farmers were obligated to observe the mitzvah of peah, leaving the corners of their field unharvested, so that at any time a poor individual could go to one of these corners and take food for themselves. Any part of the harvest that they dropped or they forgot in the field were also reserved for the poor. Additionally, one of the offerings made at the temple was food to be given to the poor. We are also commanded to be sure that these individuals have what they need for festivals, Sukkot, Passover, so that they can celebrate as we do. In Jewish tradition, once every 7 years, we observe the Shemitah year. A Shemitah literally meaning a year let go, where these measures are pushed even further. During the Shemitah, a farmer wouldn't just leave the corners of their field for the poor. Anything that grew in the field was open to everyone. Debts that a poor person may have incurred would be forgiven. The Shemitah was a time of particular attention given to those less fortunate. 5782, the Jewish year that we have just entered, is a Shemitah year. It is a special opportunity for us to reflect on the work we have been doing to combat hunger and homelessness in Santa Barbara and to renew those efforts. CBB has long played an active role in providing for our unsheltered and hungry community. This list is but a small portion of the support that individuals in our community are providing, so I don't mean to leave anyone out. Once a month, our Pershing Park group, once led by Amy Katz and now led by Kira Weiss and Daniel Dunitz, provides meals in coordination with Doctors Without Walls, Adam's Angels, and homeless helpers to those in need of food. We have been lucky enough to be supporters of Showers of Blessing, a mobile trailer that gives unsheltered individuals a chance to take a shower, do laundry, and get some clean clothes. We support local organizations like Unity Shop, which Annie mentioned in our High Holiday Appeal, as well as Path, Transition House, and many more. Each year, our second grade class in Netivot holds a shoe drive, and they have collected hundreds of pairs of shoes for Souls for Souls. All of these efforts are incredible examples of our commitment to the wider community of need. But in the Shemitah year, we are called to do more. This has sparked a new major initiative at CBB, Nefesh, which stands for Neighbors Ensuring Food, Equity, Safety, and Housing. I want to thank Kira for that acronym. Nefesh in Hebrew means soul. And this is the type of work that feeds the soul of Judaism. Nefesh has a singular goal: that every single member of the CBB community engages in the sacred act of providing for the human need of food, equity, safety, or housing. Every single one of us. Imagine the benefit we will bring to our city by focusing our collective efforts on this particular issue. For Nefesh to be successful, we need your involvement. We want to expand the projects we are currently running and at the same time bring in new initiatives. And to do this, we'll need to draw on a wide variety of your skills. People who can cook, who can build, who can advocate, and who can educate. Whether you can give a few hours or a few hours a week, we can only make a difference if we show up. We also need project coordinators, people who are well organized and willing to give of their expertise to help us identify programs that would benefit from our involvement. And finally, we need funds. This tzedakah could go to buy food for the meals we make, or could provide for a project to send our religious school students to Target to create a welcome home kit for a family moving into permanent housing. It could purchase materials to make blankets at Mitzvah Day, or to assemble hygiene bags for distribution. In the coming days, I'll be sending out a survey to ask you how you can contribute to this great opportunity. This work is so important, and I really hope, I pray, that you feel the gravity of the potential good we can do. We have the opportunity to change lives. I want to take a few minutes to tell you about one significant project we are making part of Nefesh, a project that addresses one of the greatest challenges facing Santa Barbara, a lack of affordable housing. Due to an influx of new funds from the county, state, and federal levels, there are finally multiple projects across the county building new affordable housing, but those projects will not be completed for at least a few years. At the same time, we know that the encampments are untenable, but we have a lack of immediate solutions. So what do we do? This is similar to a dilemma in the Talmud. The question is asked, is food classified as demai allowed to be given to the poor? Demai is impure food, not moldy or spoiled, but religiously impure, because there is uncertainty whether the proper offerings have been taken out of it. This food is off limits to Jews. And so the question arises, if I can't eat it, can I give it to a poor person to eat, whether they're Jewish or not? Rabbis Hillel and Shammai take up this question, and per usual, they disagree. Shammai says no. One may not give the poor person demai. And his reason is a matter of dignity. If we are not permitted to eat this food, how can we possibly consider giving it to someone else? The poor should have as much dignity in eating as we do. And in principle, Rabbi Hillel agrees. Yes, the poor person should get the same high quality that the rest of us are permitted to eat. But Hillel still permits that demai be eaten by the poor. He is unwilling to allow them to continue to be hungry while they wait for proper food to come. Hillel's reasoning is clear. They are hungry. This is food. They should eat. And Jewish law goes with Hillel in this case. They may eat demai. But we should not disregard Shammai's opinion, however, because without him we might come to think that if demai and regular food are both available, it's permissible to give the poor demai, and that is not the case. In helping others, we must consider both fulfilling the needs of the individual while simultaneously honoring their dignity as our brothers and sisters. So how do we translate the lesson of Hillel and Shammai to low-income housing in Santa Barbara? We want to provide individuals with a permanent home, but it isn't readily available. We know that individuals continuing to live unsheltered is not a dignified solution, but what other solution do we have? A few months ago, I learned of one from one of our own members, Aaron Edelheit. An organization called Dignity Moves had been piloting a community of temporary housing in Mountain View, California, where unsheltered individuals could have their own private indoor space as they prepared to make the move to a permanent solution. The room was minimal: a bed and a table and a locking door. This pilot was overwhelmingly successful, and they were looking to create a second community here in Santa Barbara. The Local Dignity Moves project is a new private-public partnership that is providing transitional housing to members of our community by building modular units. These 33 units will immediately take as many people off the streets, and in partnership with Good Samaritan, find permanent solutions tailored to those individuals. Imagine that. Right now, 33 fewer people sleeping unsheltered from the upcoming winter nights. 33 people who can start the real transition from survival mode to entering permanent housing. And the best part about these units is because they're transitional, as soon as one person moves out, another can move in. It's estimated that in the 3 years this project is currently allotted, between 200 and 300 individuals will go from being on the street to in permanent housing. This is a game changer, and we, CBB, are going to build it. Literally. Dignity Moves received permission from the county to use volunteer labor to build these units. And I told them we would do it. I want you to be a part of this with me. Sometime between the end of November and the beginning of December, we are going to need 75 to 100 volunteers for the weekend to build the units, assemble furniture, beautify the parking lot, and make it feel like a home. It is a huge, ambitious task, but I know we will rise to it. Those few days of work are going to change the lives of hundreds of people. As I mentioned, this project is a partnership between the public and private sector, meaning that while the County of Santa Barbara is putting up about half the construction funds, half of the money is coming from private citizens through donations and grants. The cost to sponsor one of these 33 units is $25,000. I'd like to see our community sponsor a door. And I think we can meet that goal, especially since an anonymous source from our community is matching the first $10,000 we raise. Please consider how you might be part of this project, either as a builder, a funder, or both. Nefesh is going to be a journey for all of us. This Yom Kippur afternoon, we can take the first step in that journey by learning more about the current realities of the local homeless population. I'd like to invite you to join me at 1:30 p.m., which is probably about a half hour from now, on Zoom, for a panel featuring representatives from PATH, Transition House, SB Act, and Dignity Moves. The more we can learn, the better equipped we can be to confront this epidemic effectively. Rabbi Mark Wachowski teaches that as Yom Kippur comes to an end, we should be physically exhausted, but morally exhilarated. I am entering 5782 exhilarated with the possibility of what we can accomplish. And for the sake of this holy work we will do, I offer this blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shenatan lanu hizdamnut l'taken et ha'olam. Blessed is Adonai our God, majestic, who has given us the opportunity to repair the world. Gemar chatima tova. May you be sealed in the book of life for goodness. In a moment, we'll sing our closing song, our transitional song, as we are not ending our service. We're merely moving to the next step. There are a few afternoon options to let you know about. One, which I just mentioned, the panel at 1:30 on Zoom. At 2:30 on Zoom, Renee Golan will be leading a meditation for Yom Kippur, which you're welcome to join.